A new video from the group Vote Vets warns about how Project 2025 would enable Donald Trump's worst instincts when it comes to his role as commander-in-chief.
If one were to write a credible roadmap to transform our democracy into a dictatorship, this is what it would look like. And a big part of that is to turn the most effective, professional, and nonpartisan fighting machine that the world has ever seen into Trump's MAGA military force. The moral compass of the United States Armed Forces is extraordinary. And a big part of that is to turn the most effective, professional, and nonpartisan fighting machine that the world has ever seen into Trump's MAGA military force. The moral compass of the United States Armed Forces is extraordinary. The great fear that some of us have is that he will place a structure of firing, of dismissing, of retiring, and a selection process that will try to dismantle that moral compass. Of us have is that he will place a structure of firing, of dismissing, of retiring, and a selection process that will try to dismantle that moral compass.
Federal firings reaching top Pentagon officials overnight. President Trump firing the chairman of federal firings reaching top Pentagon officials overnight. President Trump firing the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and ABC's senior White House correspondent Selena Wang is in Washington following the breaking details. Selena, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Gio. This is an unprecedented purge of military leadership. The president is firing the highest-ranking military officer in this country and other senior leaders. It is sending shockwaves through the Pentagon. Now, the president hasn't directly said why he's firing them, but he has made it clear that he wants to get rid of anyone in the military who supports diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Overnight, President Trump firing the nation's top military leadership in an unprecedented purge. Trump ousting General C.Q. Brown as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, removing the four-star through the Pentagon. Now, the president hasn't directly said why he's firing them, but he has made it clear that he wants to get rid of anyone in the military who supports diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Overnight, President Trump firing the nation's top military leadership in an unprecedented purge. Trump ousting General C.Q. Brown as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, removing the four-star fighter pilot as America's top military leader, and firing multiple other senior leaders, including Lisa Franchetti, the first woman to serve as the Navy's top admiral, the number 2 ranking general in the Air Force, and 3 other senior officers. Brown was nominated by Trump in his first term, which made him the first black chief of staff for the Air Force, but has come under fire as Trump aims to rid the military of leaders who support diversity and equity, as first woman to serve as four-star fighter pilot as a top military leadership in an unprecedented purge. Trump ousting General C.Q. Brown as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, removing the four-star fighter pilot as America's top military leader, and firing multiple other senior leaders, including Lisa Franchetti, the first woman to serve as the Navy's top admiral, the number 2 ranking general in the Air Force, and 3 other senior officers. Brown was nominated by Trump in his first term, which made him the first black chief of staff for the Air Force, but has come under fire as Trump aims to rid the military of leaders who support diversity and equity.
Would enable Donald Trump. A new video from the group Vote Vets warns about how Project 2025 would enable Donald Trump's worst instincts when it comes to his role as commander-in-chief.
If one were to write a credible roadmap to transform our democracy into a dictatorship, this is what it would look like. And a big part of that is to turn the most effective, professional, and nonpartisan fighting machine that the world has ever seen into Trump's MAGA military force. The moral compass of the United States Armed Forces is extraordinary. The great fear that some of us have is that he will place a structure of firing, of dismissing, of retiring, and a selection process that will try to dismantle that moral compass. It's that which every voter needs to understand, and every voter needs to make sure she understands going into the voting booth on 5 November.
Shalom. All praises and glory goes to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations unto the elect men continually feeding the sheep of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, in sincerity and truth with his great gospel, man. Strictly for the elect of the children of Israel. the elect of the children of Israel. And what did the Lord tell us to do? Give them warning. Let's get this. All right, we're going to go to the book of Ezekiel 3, and let's start at 17. Right? Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the words at my mouth and give them warning from me. Right? We're warning you about the things that are shortly to come to pass. Right? And it's not just us. You got all type of people giving warning, right? It's all type of signs of the times of the things that come to pass. But what people are not paying no fucking attention. People are not listening. But they're not supposed to, because the Lord done shut their ears, done closed their eyes. Right? The spirit of waking up is not for everybody. The spirit of alertness is not for everybody, right? The spirit of slumber is on a lot of people. A lot of people in this society. Says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth, and give them warning from me, right? We're speaking from the scriptures, right? We're putting prophecies with the times that we're living in, right? It says, when I say unto the wicked that thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, right? What wicked is we talking about? You wicked Israelites, right? You wicked Israelites. It says, when I say unto the wicked that shalt surely die, right? It's a lot, thou shalt surely die. It's a lot of you Israelites, you're going to surely die, right? Because of your wicked ways. Thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked ways to save his life. Right? When we giving you the words of the scriptures, we're giving it to you to save your life. Right? These words is what's going to deliver you from the times to come. Right? Knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability in times. Paraphrasing. Right? It says, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. Right? Because you didn't give him warning. Right? You didn't give him warning. Right? It says, thou givest him not warning. You didn't give him warning. You didn't tell him about the things to come. You didn't warn him about the World War III. You didn't warn him about the RFID chip. You didn't tell him about the wicked idols of this society, the Christianity, the paganism that these people follow, the celebrations of these holidays. You didn't say nothing. Right? It says, yes. Yet, Salaki, yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turneth not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked ways, he shall die in his iniquity. But thou hast delivered thy soul, right? Because we warned they asses. We told them about the things to come. So guess what? We done delivered our soul. We're working to deliver our soul. We're working to be preserved in the said perils. We're working to be delivered in the times of trouble, right? The times of tribulation. It says again, right? It says again, when a righteous man doth turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, right? He shall die because thou hast not given him warning. He shall die in his sin, in his righteousness which he, bear with me, and the righteousness which he have done shall not be remembered. But his blood will I require at thine hand. Right, that's why as a prophet, you got to warn the people. GOCC, the gathering of whoever, they're not warning no people. They're trying to get more members. IUIC, trying to get more members. Right? ISUPK, trying to get more members. Got all these different camps. What they trying to do? Trying to get more members. Who's the only camp warning people? The Great Millstone. And the men that preach the same gospel. Right? It says, nevertheless, if thou warn the righteous man that the righteous sin not, and he doth not sin, he shall surely live, right? Because he is warned, also thou hast delivered thy soul. Right? We don't warn our brothers. They don't woke up to the Lord. They calling on the name of the Lord, and guess what? They're going to be delivered from what's coming. And what's coming? What's coming? Death. Mass death is coming to Babylon the Great. Mass tribulations, mass starvation, mass famine, mass destabilization, mass unemployment, mass repos. mass unalives, right? It says you're gonna die soon, right? That's the message that these elites is really telling you, people of this society, man. It's the end of it's the end of this world that you used to love so much, right? Prepare for this different society that's being set up, a society of less food, less opportunity to work and provide for your peoples, your family members, your friends, yourselves, right? Due to what the rules and the regulations that Esau is passing, these different tariffs. You got the tariffs, right? It says a tax imposed by one country on the goods and services imported from another country to influence it, raise revenues, or protect competitive advantages, right? Because Babylon the Great done lost so much money in the past few years, right? Babylon the Great done kind of fell in the hole. This ain't the same place it used to be, right? You see more drug addicts and criminals, and then you see businessmen, right? Then you see people going to stores shopping, right? At one time, people be at all the malls and the grocery stores. Right now, nah, it's not like that. People sitting at home ordering online. They're afraid to go outside because it's violence out there, right? These days is dark, right? Things is not the same, especially with these elite rich men in power who don't give a damn about what a regular person, who don't care about a regular 9-to-5 Edomite, right? You got a lot of 9-to-5 Edomites, and they're upset because they done lost that 9-to-5. They no longer could provide for themselves or their family, right? And guess what? They voted for this. This is who they wanted, right? It says you're gonna die soon, right? And guess what? Us being men of the Lord, man, we ain't worried about none of this that's about to come to pass. We want all these things to come to pass because it's gonna get closer and closer to what our deliverance. Plus, we also know what the scriptures tell us this. Let's go to Psalms 34:7. It says, the angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him and delivereth them, right? I'm reading it again. The angel of Yahweh encampeth round about them that fear him and delivereth them, right? Who fears the Lord? The ones that's out there doing the will of the Lord. The one that's out there warning the people of the Lord. Telling them about the things that's shortly to come to pass, right? That's the people who fear the Lord. The men that's pushing that gospel and the believers, the 144,000 and the 1/3, right? The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him and delivereth them, right? That's what the Lord gonna do. He gonna deliver us in the time of tribulation, the time of all hell breaking loose. Matter of fact, let's go to Psalms 34. We're gonna start at verse 4. It says, I sought Yahweh, and he heard me and delivered me from all my fears. What am I going to eat in the time of a famine? How am I going to feed my family? What am I going to do when the military comes in? What am I going to do in martial law? What am I going to do when my job fires me? Now, the Bible said, don't worry about none of these things. Don't worry about none of these things. All you got to do is put your trust in the Lord and serve the Lord, right? It says, I sought the Lord, Yahweh, and he heard me and delivered me from all my fears, right? It says, they looked unto him and were lightened, and their faces were not ashamed, right? We ain't gonna be ashamed in the time coming, the times to come, when all hell break loose in the society, the SHTF, right? Because why? The Lord's gonna show you who's he's with, right? He's gonna show you who's been about his business, who he's with, and you're gonna see people trying to flock. But guess what? You ain't gonna find a lot of men of the Lord in them days. It says they looked unto him and were lightened, and their faces were not ashamed. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles, right? Right now, we're the poor, right? We're the afflicted, right? We're the oppressed. We're in these prison houses, right? And we're begging the Lord to free us and deliver us. It says, this poor man cried, and the Lord heard him, right? If you're not crying and sighing for all the abominations that are done in the midst thereof, the Lord ain't listening to you, right? It says, and saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him and deliver them, right? That's what the Lord gonna do. He gonna deliver his elect, his elect. Let's go to the book of Isaiah 55, verse 6. It says, "Seek ye the Lord Yahweh while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. Let the wicked," right? We was talking about the wicked earlier. You got two wickeds in the Bible. You got wicked Israelites, and you got the wicked, which is Esau, Edom. Right? It says, "Let the wicked forsake his way." The only ones who could forsake their way is you Israelites. The only wicked that could repent and return back to the Lord is you Israelites. Right? Y'all them same wicked Gentiles that the scriptures talk about, right? It says, "Let the wicked forsake his ways, and let the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him into our power, for he will abundantly," what? Pardon. Right? He will abundantly pardon. It says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither your ways my ways, saith the Lord." So you got to deny your thoughts. You got to deny your ways to return back to who Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Right? Because here, man, and what's your thoughts telling you? Call on Jesus, call on God. No, you got to call on the name of the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? You got to go back to that Hebrew tongue. Right? You can't, man, first off, one thing we know, Jesus ain't never saved nobody. Yeah, Jesus Christos ain't never saved nobody. Look at the Native Americans. They was given Jesus. Look at the ninjas who came from the west coast of Africa. They was given Jesus. And where they at right now? Nowhere. They fucked up. And you know the Northern Kingdom, boy, Hispanics, Latinos, they was given the Jesus Christ. Right? And nothing helped. Right? It says, "Neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved." So you've been calling on Jesus and you ain't been saved. So what's the real name to call on? Yahweh Shai. And what's his father's name? Yahweh. The only way to get to the Father, you got to go through the Son. Right? Because the Son was the sacrifice for us to return back to who? The Father. Right? It says Isaiah 52:6. "Therefore my people shall know my name." No, we're going to get the name in the kingdom. Man, the Bible said, "Therefore my people shall know my name." How the fuck you going to be saved out of what's coming? All hell about to break loose and you trying to be saved, but you don't know the name. The Lord going to give you the name after you die? Right? You got to be a stupid motherfucker to be listening to IUIC, man. Right? It's a lot of you people, your asses is dumb, man. Get the fuck off this page and go keep listening to them stupid motherfuckers, man. Right? It says, "Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore they shall know in that day that I am he that doth speak. Behold, it is I." Right? Who's talking and how do the Lord speak? The Lord speak through his servants, the prophets. Right? The Lord ain't coming down here talking to you stupid ass motherfuckers talking about, "I got my own personal relationship with God. Me and God been cool forever, man. That's my nigga. That's my homie." God ain't dealing with you weird ass motherfuckers. Right? Isaiah 52:6 says, "Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore they shall know in that day that I am he that doth speak. Behold, it is I." Right? And when you see the men of the Lord speaking, yeah, you better know that that's coming from the power above. That's coming from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Proverbs 18:10. Right? It says what? "The name of our Lord Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe." And who's giving you the name of the Lord? The men of the Lord. You got to go to the men of the Lord to get the name of the Lord. Shalom.